Hello, welcome to Dirt to Delicious. I'm Miss Ellen, and today we're going to talk about green beans and cooking with green beans. I have some green beans here that we are going to plant, and how you plant them is you just put a hole in the ground, and you want your soil to be nice and loose and weed-free, and you put a hole in the ground about 3 to 6 inches apart, and you put the bean seed in. You want to put that in there? Just throw it down there. So the bean seeds actually look like dried beans. So you want to plant them in the ground 3 to 6 inches apart, kind of stagger them. So you're just pressing a hole and then covering it up, probably about 1 inch deep. And the rule of thumb is 10 to 15 bean plants per person in household is how you would feed someone with beans. And then the first few days after planting them, you want to water them really good. And these are bush beans, not pole beans, so when you are growing beans, make sure you're picking out the right seed that you want. Because with pole beans, you need a trellis or some type of stakes or fencing for them to grow up. Bush beans will grow in a bush like these green beans. Some of them may be mixed in with like pole beans, but there are bush beans in here. This is someone else's garden. And you want to plant these probably when it's warmer out. I would say mid to late May, because they do not withstand frost when they first start growing. As they're growing, you will see they will start to flower. So during this time is when you want to water them the most, because if you let them dry out, these flowers will dry out and die. And you want to catch them before they get too big, because the larger the bean, the tougher it is, and the less flavorful it is. So you can see one here that got really large and actually turned to seed. If you want to have your own seeds, so here's even more bean seeds to plant. So these beans here, these seeds actually came from that pod. The bean got extra large and dried out. So you can actually save these seeds, let them dry out, and plant them later on for probably next season. So this is the size of bean, maybe a little bit smaller. It depends on how you like your beans, but I would say maybe a little bit smaller than this than is what kind you want to cook with. And as you can see, there's lots in here. They're well hidden. So you want to keep picking them. Probably every other day, come to your bean patch and pick, because the more you pick, the more that will grow. All right, so I'm watering this. You want to keep this soil nice and moist the first few days after the seeds are planted, and then once they start flowering, you want to really water them good. And the ones here I said are that we planted bush beans, but the ones here next to it are obviously pole beans. Yeah, look at that bean. Doesn't that make that baby cute? Just put it in your mouth there. Eat it. And once you have a bean straight from the garden, you'll never go back to store-bought beans, especially canned beans. You gotta start her young. Hello, we're in this kitchen now. We're gonna make 3 bean salad from the green beans that we got from the garden. And what we're gonna do is we have to wash these off, and we're gonna pinch off the ends where they were coming off the stem, and chop them up to a smaller size. And now we're going to put them on the stove in this water to blanch them, to make them a little bit more softer for the salad. This is 3 cloves of garlic we're going to chop up, and we're going to put this in the bean salad and chop them up pretty finely. I do not have a garlic press, but if you wanted to take garlic, the shell off easily, you can cut off both ends and shake it in a bowl. Because we're chopping it up so fine here and you're getting your hands all in it, it's going to make your fingers smell really good. So when you go out in public, people know you were chopping up garlic and making bean salad. So we have here the main ingredients to our bean salad, and it can be, I said 3 bean salad, but it can be 5 bean salad, 4 bean salad. And we're going to use the green beans, which are beans from the garden. So we have black beans, chickpeas, which are beans, and I rinse them off. And then we're going to use Great Northern beans, but you can use any bean you want, red kidney beans, dark kidney beans. We have onions, and you want to use a 1/4 cup of onions, soak it in water to take the edge off of the onion, the red onion and white onion, whatever kind of onion you have, you can use. We have parsley, oil, any type of oil. This is olive oil and apple cider vinegar. If you have white vinegar, that's fine. And we have salt and pepper we're going to add in also. it is important to rinse your beans for this recipe. Some recipes for other things tell you to put the whole thing in, the whole can of beans, but we have all this juice, this bean juice here we do not want in. So you want to open up your can, dump it in a strainer, and rinse them off as best as you can and drain all the water off. All right, now we're going to mix everything together. And this is a nice thing to make for picnics. Even if you don't have fresh green beans, you can use canned green beans and do the same thing that you did with the beans with the canned green beans. So it's a way for you to make something without even having to turn on the stove. But we did it with our fresh green beans from the garden. So we're going to add all the stuff together. We have here a 1/4 cup of sugar, just white sugar. We're going to put it in there. We have a 1/2 cup of oil and a 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar. We're going to put in all our different types of beans.
Those are pretty beans.
And then we have parsley here. Fresh parsley is good. Oregano, anything you think might be good in there. We're going to take our onions that have been swimming in the water. We had to get the edge taken off of them. And we're going to put that, make sure you don't put water in here. I'm just squeezing the water out. You can put celery in here if you have celery. And just cut up the celery and put it in there. Here is our garlic. We have 2 to 3 cloves of garlic chopped up really good to make our fingers smell nice. And then we're going to put in about a 1/4 cup of salt. You can measure it out if you want. I just shake it in here. And, or not a 1/4 cup, a 1/4 teaspoon. And probably like a 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And then we just mix this all up and we cover it up and put it in the refrigerator for 2 hours. And it should be good to eat. And this will stay, because it has the vinegar in it, it will stay in the refrigerator for a week or so. And you just eat it as you want to eat it. And as time goes on, the oil and vinegar will soak into the beans. Beans, the magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you don't have to eat meat. So you just want to mix it up really, really good. Put a cover on it, put it in a Tupperware container, and then stick it in the refrigerator. And it looks really nice. And it tastes really good too. All right, we're going to put these in the refrigerator right here on the second shelf down in the front. If you're really sick, they say to bathe in hot water and onions. Did you ever hear that?
No.
And like the onions, for whatever helps to open up your airways.